Hello again, everyone. In this video, I'm going to do a redo of Israel Moment Examined number 35. And I don't really like to do redos because I just don't have the time to invest in doing videos over and over again. But I really missed a critical verse that a brother pointed out to me that's really helpful in driving this point home of when I talked about in the other video about the law of first mention. So the Israel Moment 35 that's up right now, probably gonna pull it down and replace it. That video is no longer elect, so I'm gonna replace it with this video, and it will hopefully be a little bit shorter and incorporate the same thing. And I'll point out a key verse that I missed in the last one that's helpful in defeating this false teaching in this video. Now, in the last video, in number 34, Stephen tried to go back to Abraham and prove. He tried to teach you that the Abrahamic covenant was the Mosaic covenant. When he said the old covenant versus the new covenant, he tried to portray to you that the Abrahamic covenant was replaced, and it's not. It's the Mosaic covenant that was replaced. We talked about that in the last video. So he tried to go back to Abraham to prove that Jews were descendants of Abraham, and then he tried to defeat that covenant, or show you that you had to do something to follow it. Well, now he's going to come up here in Esther and try to prove that being a Jew is simply a religion and not an ethnicity, which is what he effectually admitted in the previous video when he had to go back to Abraham, and he talked about the Jews under the old covenant. Well, when he was going back to Abraham, there's no religion back then, so he's essentially genetically tying the Jews to Abraham, which is what they are, genetic descendants of Abraham. And that's what the Bible teaches consistently, especially when you get into the Gospels and Jesus is arguing and preaching against the Pharisees, who continually want to bring up the idea or the fact that they're physically descending from Abraham. So that is what the Bible teaches. So I just wanted to make that point, that this video kind of contradicts his previous video. So we'll take a look here, and I'll point out that critical verse that I missed. And it just went out, when you're trying to prove something and you've got your own, your own verses and stuff, sometimes you just miss things that are in plain sight. And I'm thankful that there are people that are watching and helpful to me. And I don't know everything, and I'm gonna miss stuff. I don't know everything by any means, and I'm thankful that there are people to correct me and help me out, and that way, you get to grow as a teacher, and people respect that. Then that you don't think you know everything, because I don't. I know that I don't, and I know that I need help, and and that's why I'm doing these, because I know other people need help, and it's especially in this critical time that we live in, so close to the Lord coming back, that things like this can really get people off the track that they want to be on. So anyway, I won't waste your time any further. Let's get into the video. Israel Moment number 35, Becoming a Jew.
Hello, this is Pastor Stephen Anderson from Faithful Word Baptist Church in Tempe, Arizona. And today I want to talk about Esther 8:17. There's a lot of confusion today about the word Jew. A lot of people think that being Jewish is an ethnicity, and that it has to do with the fact that you descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. If we were to ask Adolf Hitler, he would agree with that, because he definitely believed that being Jewish was a racial thing.
Actually, same brother pointed this out to me. I haven't really studied too much about Hitler, so I kind of just, if that's what he said, whatever. It's not really relevant to the video, but actually Hitler did not believe that Jews were a genetic race. Here's a quote from a book called The Holy Reich. that quotes Hitler, and Hitler says, "We speak of the Jewish race as a linguistic convenience. For the true sense of the word, and from a genetic standpoint, there is no Jewish race. The Jewish race is above all a community of spirit. Anthropologically, the Jews do not exhibit those common characteristics that would identify them as a uniform race." So, actually, Hitler did not believe that they were a race, just like Stephen doesn't. So, and as we know, Hitler was a Roman Catholic, and the Roman Catholics teach replacement theology. So, Steve's fallen right in line with replacement theology, teaching of the Roman Catholic Church.
And if we were to ask Zionist Christians today, they would tell you that, oh yeah, people that are Jews, they're a certain ethnicity. It means that they descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that makes them God's chosen people because they descend from that bloodline. But let's see if the Bible defines being a Jew as being of a certain ethnicity. Listen to Esther 8:17.
Okay. Now, as I said in the last video, he says, let's see how the Bible defines being a Jew. And the question you ask yourself is, why is he taking me here? Why is this the place that defines what a Jew is? And as I said in the last video, meaning number 35 that I'm doing to replace, what you want, a good thing to do is look up the first time a word is mentioned. And I went to the Hebrew in the last video to show that, Abraham being a Hebrew, because I was in my mind I was trying to tie the two videos together. Abraham being a Hebrew is showing that he is a descendant of Hebrews. I'm not going to go back there again because I have a much better verse here in Esther. But if you look up the occurrence of Hebrew and you just look up the word Hebrew and you see how it's used, you'll see that there's no way that you could get out of that it's talking about a religion. It's always talking about someone being a Hebrew or being a Hebrew servant, a brother being a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman. It's talking about a kindred of people. So again, for some reason I just failed to look at this particular verse. The first occurrence of the word Jew in the Bible is in Esther. It's in Esther 2 verse 5. And like I said in the last video, you want to look at the first occurrence of the word, and there's often a definition built in, or it gives you an understanding of what the word means. When you look at the first occurrence, the Bible just kind of has a built-in definition that way. It's part of the marvelous work of God in the King James Bible, building in a built-in dictionary. Let's see. So the first occurrence of the word Jew is in Esther 2:5. Excuse me, still dealing with the cold a little bit. So I think I want to make sure. I got a verse quote here, but I want to make sure it's the whole verse. I think it is. Let's see. Just that time of the night when the baby starts crying. Okay, let's see here. Esther 2:5. It says, "Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite." So when it mentions the word Jew there, what is it associating it with? It's associating Mordecai descending from the tribe of Benjamin. He was the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. So he was like the great grandson. I'm not going to put it all together there, but I think Kish was Saul's father, because Saul was a Benjamite. So it's saying there in the first occurrence of the word Jew that Mordecai descended from Benjamin. So there you have, in the first occurrence of the word Jew, it's teaching you that Jew is someone who is a genetic descendant of a tribe of Israel. He's going to ignore that and jump up to a point that's going to propagate his agenda.
Every province and in every city whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Now, according to this scripture, many people at that time became Jews. Now, if being a Jew were an ethnicity, it would be impossible to become one, because you can't change your ethnicity. For example, if I talked about becoming an American, that would be very possible for someone of any ethnicity to become an American. Why? Because being an American has to do with what nation you're a citizen of. If I talked about becoming a Christian, that would be very possible as well. Because
Okay, here's the difference between becoming an American and becoming a Jew, as far as it relates to a nation. A Jew, an American, there was no people named Americans until you had the country of America. And then the people who resided in America and were born in America were called Americans after the country name. However, Israel was first called, was first a people before it was a country. First, I think it's Exodus chapter 4. Exodus chapter 4, verse 21 says, And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand, but it will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. So Israel, God sees him as his son, and we know that Israel was actually Jacob. And so the people of Israel, God saw them corporately as his son. So the seed of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, who became Israel, was a people. So first the people got the land of Canaan, and then it was called the land of Israel. So this this line of thinking where people in America can become Americans, or you can become an American by being born in America, it's not the same thing. It's not like you become an Israelite by being born in Israel. No, the Israelites are a people. They're not somebody who becomes that when they're born in that country. Now, they may have those laws today, but Bible terms, that's not what it's talking about.
Neither of those things have to do with a certain ethnicity. Well, here's the thing. Being a Jew is not an ethnicity either. Being a Jew is a religious belief. And in Esther 8:17, we see people becoming Jews, meaning that they start to believe in the God of the Jews. Now, the people at the time of Esther 8:17 who became Jews, they were worshiping the true God of the Bible. Of course, today's Jews do not worship the God of the Bible. Today's so-called Jews, who are outwardly Jews, who are ethnically claiming to be Jewish, whatever that means, they worship a false god. Because
okay, we get his point in the video, and we don't really need to. It's funny you talk about who claim to be Jews ethnically, whatever that means. Well, we know what it means. Yeah, he's just pretending he doesn't know what it means. It means that they descended from Abraham. Now, here's a couple other verses I'll give you that show that Steve can't deal with. They just has him cornered, and I asked him. Galatians 2:15. Paul says to Peter when he's reproving him, it says Galatians 2:15, we who are Jews by nature and not sinners of the Gentiles. Okay, so what's a Jew by nature? And Steve's answer to that initially to me was, well, that means that they're like a natural born citizen, like I'm a natural born citizen of the United States. Well, we've already shown that that's not what that means in the Bible. Okay, when something is a certain way by nature, it means that that's the way that it occurred, was created, occurred naturally in the course of just the way that things occur in nature. In this instance, it means that he was born a Jew. He is genetically Jewish. Just like in Romans chapter 1, it says that sodomy is against nature, means that you're not born that way. Elsewhere it says that uncircumcision is by nature, means men are born uncircumcised. It's the way you're born. When something happens by nature, it's the way you're born. It also calls Jews the natural branches. In Romans 9, I think it is, the natural branches. It says that Gentiles are wild by nature. So if something is a natural branch of a tree, means it grew up that way. And somebody takes something and grafts it in, means it didn't occur naturally that way. You were put in there by someone else. So again, when you look up the word nature and natural in the Bible, any reasonable person who's not already conditioned to believe something a certain way is going to see that a Jew by nature means that someone is born that way. Also, in Acts chapter 22, verse 3, Paul says that he was born in Tarsus, not in Israel. So even if that application could be true, which it's not in the Bible, it wouldn't be applicable to Paul because he wasn't born in Israel. So you need to come up with some other explanation as to what a Jew by nature means. And it really only means one thing, that you're genetically Jewish. And I don't think I really need to go into any other verses here. Paul also calls himself a Hebrew of Hebrews in Philippians 3:5. And we know from Jeremiah 34:9 that a Hebrew is a Jew. Same thing, uses the same words in there to describe brother or brethren. Forget how it is. And we know that Abram was a Hebrew, and Paul is saying he's a Hebrew, so he descended from Abraham. That's pretty much it. I got a few other verses, but there's no point in making the video any longer. We see the first occurrence of the word Jew relates to someone descending from a tribe, and we see also that Paul say that he's a Jew by nature. He's naturally born that way. So we know that Jews it's an ethnicity. It's a genetic way that someone there's genes associated with someone being born Jewish. Let's see, is there anything else? To his point with it being a religion there, I'm not saying that particular application is not what that's showing, because the people, when the Jews were in control under the law, God gave them the law, told Moses that there was a law for the homeborn, for a stranger, for a sojourner. So there was a law for all of them. And that's so that they didn't, if someone came in among them, they needed to follow the law. So that they wouldn't bring in false gods and idolatry into Israel. So if you're going to come in and live among the Jews, then you need to follow the law. And that's what was happening there in Esther. When the Jews gained control, they were either going to kill everyone who was against them, or you're going to have to fall in line and fall under their beliefs and customs and do the ordinances and all that stuff. So that's what it's showing you in that particular instance. However, one little verse like that doesn't overthrow the theme that is throughout the Bible. Jews are an ethnicity. People are born that way. I think that finishes this video, guys. Have a good night.